Hi, I'm Alvaro Henrique, and we are resuming our project to record all César Guerra-Peixe solo guitar works on video and also give a small short lesson so you that doesn't know his works can have some orientations on how to play him. First of all, this piece it wasn't published, it hasn't so far been published commercially. There is one publication by Sesc Partituras. I'll put the link below. It may change because the website I don't know how many years in the future you're seeing this video. So the website may change somewhere in the future. This project may end as well, but I'm recording this in 2022, so at least for now, this is valid. Sesc is a major organization in Brazil. Somehow it resembles the YMCA, but it's not the same thing, okay? So I know some Brazilians, especially people who work at Sesc, just heard me saying that and probably are angry at me, but it's just for you to have some idea, okay? It's not a literal, I don't mean literally, that's like that, okay? But it's a national organization that promotes health, sports, culture, especially for people that work in the commons, but in the end, it reaches the whole Brazilian community. It's a great work they do. And on what they do in culture, they record music, they promote concerts, live concerts, they also publish works, they have a research center on culture. Man, Sesc does an amazing job, okay? That's why some people, may be angry at me when I compare it to the YMCA, because Sesc's so much better. But this score, it has been, in the guitar scenario, some people have seen the score that was probably where the publication from Sesc Partituras came from. And back then, it already had some mistakes that people knew that were mistakes, but they weren't corrected but when it was published by Sesc Partituras. So there is only one major mistake, which is on first movement, measure 5, we start with E and C sharp, then we have F sharp, B and D sharp, and it keeps on. So it's 4 times the same chord with the same notes. There is an F natural. This is a mistake. Should be still a F sharp. Okay? There are some mistakes of alignment that can lead to rhythm mistakes. For example, measure number 10 we have on the bass. Okay. Then we have 18th note pause on another lower voice. Then a quarter note that should be played in the half of the second beat. But it is written in a way that may lead someone to believe that it should be played on the 4th quarter. Along with the 4th 18th note. Okay, let me explain in a different way. So, this is the correct rhythm. I'm going to do it slowly. 4, 5, and 6, and 1, G, eta, 2, G, eta, 3, G, eta, 4, and 5, and 6, and. See? So this C, 2 and 3 and 4 and so, but it's written in a way which may lead you to think that it's together with this last 18th note, which it isn't. Okay. We have a similar problem in the third movement. So this problem happens on measure 17 and the same in 19. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, 1 and 2. So the bass before the A and the B. Okay, and the same on measure 19. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay. On the second movement, on measures 14 and 15, the E natural is not a normal note, a common note. It's a harmonic, so it's harmonic and harmonic also. Okay? Those are known mistakes according to Guerra-Peixe's manuscript, and they have been known for a long time. I don't know why it says partituras corrected. Probably because so many scores, some mistake happens. Okay? This piece of music comes in a very special moment in César Guerra-Peixe's life. He wrote for a long time music in the dodecaphonic and in the serial technique. And this piece marks one of his early attempts to still maintain his knowledge of these compositional techniques, but reaching a result that sounds more Brazilian, making them his although he doesn't want to lose what he learned as an avant-garde contemporary composer in the 30s and the 40s, and this was very advanced compositional knowledge in the 40s especially, but he wants to write music that sounds more like Brazilian popular music. This music is still dodecaphonical. It's not really serial, but it has characteristic of serial music. If you want to dig more into that, there are some academic works in English as well, but in Portuguese and Spanish, that go deeper in the compositional style of Guerra-Peixe's in this particular work, and shows the series, it's the dodecaphonic series, its permutations, and so on. But, and I did that, this is the third time I've recorded this lesson, I did that before. It was a very boring, long lesson that doesn't go to the point. So, I'll tell you just a little bit on dodecaphonic and serial music, so you just know what's necessary for you to go straight to the point of playing this music. Dodecaphonic music, it consists of organizing the 12 notes in some shapes, some interval shapes, which guarantees that there is no clear hierarchy. So you don't know which note is more important. More than that, the notes themselves are not the most important thing, but the intervals, the distance between them is really the trick. So if you, instead of doing do, it's considered the same thing, because what matters is the interval. So 2, 3. So here is 2, 2, and here is 2, 3. Okay, and each series have 3 other permutations. It would be something like variations or variants of the series, like the series with a hat, the series with sunglasses, the series with beer. So this is how permutations are like. It's the same intervals but organized in a little bit different way. Okay, we're not going deep into that. This compositional technique was invented by Arnold Schoenberg, and his students, especially Anton Weber, went further on that. He thought, well, if I can organize a series of notes, what if I organize a series of dynamics, or a series of articulations, or of colors? So he decides that, for example, the first note should be piano, the second note should be forte, the third note mezzo piano, and then he repeats. Oh, and it has permutations. This is, simply speaking, how serial music works. What I want you to understand right now is that in serial music, the dynamics, the articulation, the color is as important, sometimes more important, than the notes themselves. This piece is not really serial, but it has some characteristics of serial music. So in this music also, the dynamics is as important as the notes, the articulation as well. So let's go to our first measure of the first movement. We have a A in mezzo forte with fermata. So this is very important. Then a G with piano and a laissez vibrer. Then C, mezzo forte, glissando, B flat with fermata, then F sharp with piano, and C, D piano with laissez vibrer. So you see what I mean. We as guitarists often are more important, pay attention only to the notes. Sometimes not even the notes, but where our finger go. But this is another discussion. In this music, it's very important not only where your finger go, which note is, but the dynamics of each note. So I recommend you to, especially when working on a piece like that, to mark, to highlight the dynamics, the articulation, the agogics. What I do is highlight with colors. So when it's dynamics, I highlight in red. When it's articulation, I highlight in green. When it's agogics, I highlight in orange. When it's harmonics or effects, I highlight in blue. I recommend you to do something similar. You can choose different colors. That's not really the point, but it's important, especially in a piece like that, that when you look at the score, the first information that you get are articulation, dynamics, not the black dots representing the notes, but those musical information. Okay? And work on that. This piece, this is one of the reasons that made me, record that lesson so many times, because although it's the simplest thing to say, it's the hardest one to do. I know, I've played the work. My really best advice, good quality advice for you to work on that piece is really work little by little, just from the start, also paying attention to playing perfectly the dynamics and the articulation exactly as written. Nothing more, nothing less. Exactly as written. And it's so hard to do exactly as written dynamics. Not because of the notes. The piece of music is quite simple, quite easy. If you saw my recording, I even had to choose some harder fingerings because my guitar it needs to go to a guitar maker to be adjusted, but it's the pandemic, so it's quite hard. But I have sometimes the problem that I play a note, well, not now, but yeah, you see, it starts okay, then it buzzes. It's because it's not adjusted. So sometimes I had to change open strings because here don't face the same problem. So the fingerings themselves, how to play, can be even easier. But this is not what's difficult on this piece. It is really mastering the dynamics, the articulations, and the agogics. So you have to work little by little, brick by brick, to measures, and master the dynamics. And don't toss the score as fast as possible. We guitarists very often want to memorize music as fast as possible and just throw the score to the trash. And in a piece like that, which the dynamics, the articulations, the agogics is more important or as important as the notes, you shouldn't do that because it's harder to really memorize the dynamics and the articulations and the agogics and so on. So keep working with the score so you can be reminded. You're not really reading, but you're just checking, being reminded which is the correct articulation and dynamics and agogics and so on. It's quite easy then, but it's quite challenging because it may require for you to study in a way that you have never studied before. And every time that you do something for the first time, it's hard. But if you trust me, like this piece, work this way, it will be worthy, and you will learn a way to work on your repertoire that you can be used for the pieces, and the results will be amazing as well. Have fun.